What is up, YouTube? What is up, family? We have another Patreon request. We got the most impressive church in Paris. Et c'est pas Notre Dame. C'est pas? C'est pas. So this should be interesting. Which church is it? Which church
Gothic
is it?
architecture, distinguished by its use of pointed arches, ribbed vaults, and flying buttresses.
I'm almost certain I have seen this church in another video, and I was blown away by it. So now we're going to just concentrate on this, and that is amazing. I mean, just look at this picture. We could just stop the video right here. I mean, come on. Are you watching? Seriously? Handmade, people. Look, they're going too quick. But where's that part? See, they're going so fast.
Gothic architecture, distinguished by its use of pointed arch.
See? Do you understand? Do you see? Do you see? I mean, give me 15, 20 minutes, I could carve the same thing, but you know what I'm saying? It's still pretty impressive. All handmade, you know? Crazy.
Arches, ribbed vaults, and flying buttresses flourished in France in the 13th century, in a period of architecture known as High Gothic, where the construction of cathedrals reached an exceptional level of refinement and
I mean, oof, wow, seriously, wow.
Height. Around 1230, there was a reaction against the huge scale of High Gothic cathedrals, and architects began to use the same structural approach on smaller scaled buildings, which brought a new sense of intimacy and an increased complexity of detail now intended to be appreciated at close quarters. This new style was later known as rayonnant Gothic. The word rayonnant is French for radiant, and this name is due to the rays of light that radiate through the windows. The nature of the style made it ideal for palace chapels, of which the most spectacular example is the Sainte-Chapelle in Paris.
That's a model.
Built between 1242 and 1248, the Sainte-Chapelle was commissioned by King Louis IX to house the relics of the Passion which he had acquired from the Emperor of Constantinople, among them the crown of thorns and a fragment of the true cross. These relics cost him twice as much as the construction of the building, and he brought them to France in 1238. The Ile de la Cité, the heart of the city of Paris since antiquity, was dominated by Notre Dame Cathedral on the east, and on the west by the Palais de la Cité, the royal residence of the kings of France in the Middle Ages, making the island the seat of political and religious power.
All the buildings look amazing. All of the buildings look incredibly, I mean, the architect who created all this, it's just, you guys like aren't even bragging about your normal buildings, which look amazing.
The chapel was built attached to the Palais de la Cité as a symbol of the king's piety and authority. So as you approach the building, standing within a small courtyard inside the palace, you'll notice its structure is slightly different than the larger cathedrals. In Gothic cathedrals, you have flying buttresses to hold the structure of the arches. But because this building is so small, flying buttresses would prevent light from passing through the windows, and the main objective of Gothic architecture is to get as much
It's just like, it's you can't even comprehend the beauty. You can't.
Light as possible inside the building. So in order to be able to have such small buttresses that could support the thrust of the vaults, the architect of the Sainte-Chapelle designed a system of internal iron rods that encircle the building, linking the buttresses horizontally.
It's amazing.
These rods are concealed in the masonry and pass across the windows, also serving as the framework that supports the glass. Thanks to this ingenious dematerialization of the structure, and to the wondrous properties of medieval stained glass, The interior of the Sainte-Chapelle has no equal, as the chapel is flooded with colorful rays of light that enrich the spiritual and divine experience of entering the chapel.
I mean, even if you don't believe in God, I'd be like, hey, I believe in God. Because I want to be in that building. You know what I mean? Seriously, even if you don't believe in God, you got to go in this building and be like, holy shit. Literally, holy. Yeah, anyway, you know what I mean? That's really, really, really.
The arrangement of the pinnacles and other elements such as the balustrade, the gargoyles, and the exterior tracery mimic the shape of a reliquary reflecting the building's purpose. But they also mimic the shape of a medieval crown with its jewels and ornaments. This resemblance to a crown could be interpreted as a symbolic homage to the relic it was built to enshrine, reinforcing its spiritual and sacred significance. Making the total height of the building over 75 meters, the spire is built of cedar wood and covered with lead for weather resistance. Statues of saints, gargoyles, and ornate carvings highlight the craftsmanship and the attention to detail. The spire not only accentuates the verticality of the building, making it visible from the distance, but also serves as a symbolic element that stretches towards the heavens. The Sainte-Chapelle has 2 levels. In the ground floor there is a room with a low ceiling that was a chapel for the servants of the royal palace, while the spacious upper chapel was used by the royal family and the court. The ground chapel is accessed from the courtyard, and the upper chapel is accessed from the palace. From the main facade, you can appreciate the double height of the upper chapel.
Masterpiece.
The rose window of the Sainte-Chapelle was built in the 15th century, using a later style of Gothic architecture known as flamboyant, which is French for flaming, and it was called that because you can see how the stone tracery has curves forming flame-like shapes. Other elements from the exterior are also from the 15th century, such as the 2 small spire on top of the 2 towers on each side of the main facade, both decorated with fleurs de lis, beneath sculpted crowns of thorns. As you enter the ground chapel, you'll notice the polychromy on the interior. Usually Gothic architecture is not colored, but the walls, columns, and traceries of the Sainte-Chapelle are completely painted with bright colors such as gold, red, and green. And the vaults are painted of royal blue with fleurs de lis. The columns inside alternate between red and blue, and each represent the 2 royal families from which the king, Louis IX, descended.
I guess I called this a church before, didn't I? Where I said, even if you don't believe in God, you should check it out. This looks more like a museum. It's not an active church, is it? Because, we just saw some people down there below just browsing through information. It looks like a museum. It's not I don't know. I mean, let me know if it's an active church, but I don't even think I've seen Jesus in there, a statue of Jesus. So I don't know, but it says the most impressive church in Paris. That's what the title says. But I don't know. This just can be. I don't even know what this could be. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen, really. It's absolutely stunning.
The blue columns with the fleurs de lis represent the Capetian dynasty through his father, and the red columns with the golden castle represent the kingdom of Castile in Spain through his mother.
My God, the thought process with the building. Incredible.
And at the end of the chapel, in the center you'll see a statue of Louis IX, known also as King Saint Louis. This chapel is very compact as it has columns in the middle of the space.
It's incredible.
And the ceilings are low, giving a cave-like effect thanks to how close you can see the vaults. As I said, originally you would have entered each chapel through the central portal on each floor, but the way you access the upper chapel now as you visit the Sainte-Chapelle is through the spiral staircases on the sides after visiting the ground floor chapel. So after being compacted in the lower chapel, and then compacted even more as you climb up the narrow stairs, you finally get to the upper chapel that gives you an amazing expansion of light and space.
Wait a minute. Hold.
An amazing expansion of light and space.
I- Listen, all I could do is agree with the title. There's nothing else. How could you disagree? How could you disagree?
Because of the structure conformed of thin buttresses, there are almost no walls inside. The whole space
There's
is
windows.
contained by 670 square meters of stained glass. Most of the glass panels are original, and they depict 1,113 scenes from the Bible.
Oh, it is a church.
The three central windows of the apse represent scenes of the life of Jesus, taken from the New Testament.
Oh, there he is. Surprised I haven't seen one statue of him, though. That's really weird.
All the windows on the north and south sides, except for the last one in the south corner, represent scenes from the Old Testament, such as the creation or scenes from the life of Moses. The window on the corner depicts the history of the relics that were held in the chapel, presenting King Louis IX as the legitimate successor of the kings of Israel. And finally, the rose window, being oriented towards the west, depicts the book of Revelation, symbolizing the end of times.
It's extraordinary. Extraordinary.
The most fascinating thing about the scenes depicted in the windows is that, although they are biblical scenes from antiquity, the characters are depicted as medieval people, wearing medieval clothes and armor, and walking in medieval towns surrounded by medieval castles. Kings from antiquity wearing medieval crowns, and ancient priests wearing medieval clothes. These biblical scenes are presented through a medieval lens, because artists from the Middle Ages could only draw upon their contemporary concept of king, attire, and architecture. The plan of the chapel has 33 meters in length and 10.5 meters in width, and the vaults reach a height of 20.5 meters. A small space for a Gothic building, yet it retains that sense of verticality, characteristic of Gothic architecture.
Yeah, it's considered small. That's
The
the funny
bottom
part.
of the walls have a place for the court members to sit, and in the third traverse of the chapel, there's a niche carved in each side of the walls, each decorated with archivolts and sculpture angels and richly painted. These spaces were for the king and queen to sit during ceremonies.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
At the end of the chapel lies the altar, which once held the 22 relics that King Louis IX had acquired. The Gothic altar is adorned with gilded elements and intricate carvings, and it serves as a focal point of the chapel's interior, drawing the eye upwards towards the stained glass windows and the vaulted ceiling. You can see that the vaults from the upper chapel are also painted blue, but instead of having painted fleur-de-lis like the lower chapel, they have golden stars. This distinction in decoration visually represents the medieval belief in the divine right of kings, where the monarchy is seen as ruling under divine authority. The fleur de lis in the lower chapel symbolize the monarchy's protection over its subjects, while the starry ceiling in the upper chapel symbolizes the heavens, emphasizing the royal family's proximity to God.
It's too much to take in. It's insane.
Just outside the chapel in the top level, you can see the main portal through which the royal family and its court would access the chapel back in the Middle Ages.
And look at all the carvings. Oh.
You can see the figure of Christ in the center of the tympanum.
Oh, there he is. Ah, I missed him before. Okay, there he is.
Next to him are two angels with the two main relics that the chapel held, the crown of thorns and the cross. And on the sides are Virgin Mary and John the Baptist. Below, the lintel shows Saint Michel weighing the souls of the dead.
Oh,
those sent to heaven
God.
On the left, and the damned on the right.
Oh, wow.
On the lower walls, you see panels depicting biblical scenes. On the left, you have the creation, and on the right, Noah's Ark.
Oh, wow.
Most of the portal was destroyed during the French Revolution, and it was remade by a French sculptor in the 19th century. Several parts of the Sainte-Chapelle were damaged during the Revolution, and in the 1840s, scholars, archaeologists, and architects restored the chapel to its medieval state,
Incredible.
being as faithful as possible with the original drawings and descriptions that had survived. The most famous of these architects was Eugène Emmanuel Viollet-le-Duc, who, after working on the Sainte-Chapelle, dedicated his life to restore Gothic architecture, most notably the Cathedral of Notre. In the Middle Ages, Jean de Jandin, a French writer, described the experience of entering the Sainte-Chapelle, which gives us a sense of what medieval people thought when entering these impressive Gothic churches. But also that most beautiful of chapels, the Chapel of the King, most fittingly situated underneath the walls of the royal palace, is graced with the most firm and indissoluble structure of the most solid of the stones, the most select colors of paints, the precious gilding of the images, the decorous transparency of the glowing glass all around, the most beautiful ornaments of the altars, the wonderful virtues of the sanctuaries, the design of the reliquaries externally adorned with gleaming gems, and so great exaggeration of beauty is generously given to that house of prayer.
I like the way, yes, this is an exaggeration of beauty. I couldn't have said it better myself.
That
That's what
upon
this is.
entering it, as if carried off to heaven, one would not without reason think has entered one of the most precious chambers of paradise.
It's almost like this is heaven. Amazing. Really is amazing.
I hope you learned and enjoyed. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and if you like Paris, there's more coming out of Paris very soon, and there's a playlist on my channel that you can go check out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon in the next episode. Goodbye.
Beautiful video, my friend. Manuel, bravo for that video. That was amazing. Seriously. I just it's like almost too much for our little brains to understand when you see something of this kind of magnitude of just I just did a video about how it's amazing how well human beings can create and how they're just amazing at destroying as well, right? That's what humans do. We create and then we destroy. And we're very good at destroying, by the way. But to see this and realize that thing was built. There were no cranes. There were no cranes and cement trucks, and 90% of that building is probably just handmade, and it was rebuilt. Imagine the original. The original for sure was handmade, dragged with wagons with bricks and stone and carving, and I mean, it's just, again, the brain is too, it's not equipped to understand this kind of creation that man is able to do. I mean, man did this. Crazy. It really is amazing. Sometimes, no, without a doubt. Sometimes I am very impressed with humans, and other times I'm just you just shake your head. Humans are so stupid. But then you see this, and you're like, "Oh, there's hope." And then you're like, "But these humans are from a long time ago. Maybe they're not around no more." You know what I mean? And the new humans have to be like these humans to continue creations like this. But I mean, hey, Notre Dame was burnt, burnt very badly, not too long ago, in the 21st century, I believe. And look at it now. So yeah, no, I mean, we still got it. We still got it. We can still do amazing things. At least there's hope in that department, right? But anyway, yeah, I would have to agree with that title. This is the most impressive. This is probably the most impressive church I've seen. That's for sure. It's incredible. It really is. Anyway, Patreon. That's a good one. Take care. Peace out. À la prochaine. Et bonsoir.